Hello, everyone. Welcome back for a brand new edition of Collider Forces. I'm so honored to have Robbie Williams on the show. Hello, congratulations on Better Man. I've watched it too many times now. It's very good.
Oh, wow.
It's very good.
Wow, well, bless you. I don't know why I feel compelled to tell you, but I've got brand new teeth.
They're beautiful.
Thank you. You should have seen the old ones. They were like Northern English yellow knobs. But I just want to smile for you.
Oh, well, I'll take that.
And also, I'm very grateful that you've seen it so many times and you responded so well to it.
Seriously, it's really something else and clearly a highly rewatchable film, which I think is something special. So first order of business on Collider Forces is always to play a little game. It is called Dicey Questions, and it usually involves a dice tower. The dice tower does not travel. So I have 8 random questions here, and you get to pick numbers 1 through 8, and whatever you choose, that is where we start. So
Lucky 7, let's go.
All right, Lucky 7. This is my favorite question. The topic here is Scream, so that means there could only be one question I'm asking. What's your favorite scary movie?
My favorite scary movie, I'm guessing Nightmare on Elm Street had a massive effect on me when I was younger. But there was the last scary movie, because I've given them up, that I saw that was like, wow, that's good, was The Haunting of Emily Rose. Have you ever seen it?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, that, yeah. So scary movies are my jam. It's scary enough in here. So, but the last one I saw was The Haunting of Emily Rose, and I thought it was fantastic.
I understand that. You just named 2 good ones, though. I'll take those answers. All right, so you picked a 7. What is your next number?
2.
Number 2 is other jobs. If you could learn more about a job on a film crew, what job would you pick and why would you want to learn about it?
If I could learn, I would say director, because I too have a God complex. I've noticed this about them. I've noticed it's a theme. It's a theme. They're like plastic surgeons too. They have God complexes. And I would be in control of everything and everybody. And I've had the best on this movie. He's also a really good mate of mine, so I can joke with him as such. But yeah, director. Who gets paid the most? Director, right?
I can't say with certainty, but I would assume a director would be at the top of that chart.
Then that one.
Okay, I respect that. I can't wait to ask you about working with Michael too. I think he's just next level.
1.
1 is rewatch. What is the movie that you rewatch most often?
Okay, so the 2 movies that I've rewatched the most often, and I don't do the same thing anymore, but when I was younger, the 2 movies that I've seen the most are Grease and Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Very, very good picks yet again.
And Porky's, 1 and 2.
Okay. Usually I am talking to filmmakers, but with your singing and songwriting background, it's a little bit of a different path here. So do you remember the very first moment that you did something and it made you say to yourself, like, my path in life undeniably is singing and songwriting and nothing else?
Is singing and songwriting and nothing else? No, I'm yet to have that moment. When I was cast as the Artful Dodger in a theatre production of Oliver Twist, I got a standing ovation every night. And, you know, I'm not academic, and I've got dyspraxia, dyslexia, dyscalculia, and we didn't have any of those at school. So I was just stupid and dumb. And because of neurodivergence or whatever, I procrastinate and I'm lazy. And so you have all of this information about yourself and it goes into your computer as I'm not worth anything. And then I had this standing ovation for this thing that I could do that felt really natural. That was my moment to go, oh, whatever shape this is, I want to do this. I auditioned for a boy band by mistake. This whole musical career has been a mistake. Lots of people would agree with me.
I disagree wholeheartedly. Oh my.
Okay.
That particular memory might answer this next question, but I did really want to ask this because I often find that in any art, you could decide you want to pursue a particular profession, but it's a different thing to have confidence in your craft. And I know Better Man covers a lot of the hurdles you experience that kind of, test that confidence. So is there any particular early memory that you can always look back on when that confidence is rocked and say to yourself, like, like, I had that moment, I know I'm good at this, and you can kind of hold on to that?
No, I've never had that
Ooh.
moment. I've never had real confidence. This is all bravery.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to put it, actually.
It's all bravery. And, you know, and I've come to realize that none of the confidence was real. It was all bravado, and it was all a mask. And the mask, I am a champion at, masking champion. But then after a while, a little bit of wisdom and being able to look back, it's like, when am I going to be confident? When am I not going to hate myself? When am I going to know that I fill these shoes, that I fill this stage? And that moment's never come. But I know this. I'm so brave. I'm so brave. And that is what I rely on. I don't rely on my craft. I don't rely on confidence. I rely on the fact that I'll throw myself at it.
That's a really beautiful answer. It makes me feel like it's probably better to hold tight to the bravery than to chase confidence, because especially in art that is ever evolving, do you really ever have it?
No, but here's the thing. I don't think anybody that does my job, and I'm not sure about your job, but I don't think anybody that does my job really has real confidence. But for anybody that wants to go and do it, that just think that they can't because they're scared, you can be brave. You can't be confident.
No, I don't. I think there is a degree of confidence. People always ask,
it's not impossible to be confident,
No.
of course, but you can be brave at any time.
Yeah. People always ask me if I'm nervous before walking into these rooms, and I tell them, yes, it doesn't matter how many I do. Every single time I'm nervous, but then I remind myself that the nerves come from caring and wanting to do a good job for myself, for the person I'm talking with, and for the people that are taking in these conversations. And I don't know, if I didn't care and didn't have the nerves, why am I here at all?
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
Have you ever let yourself down
Let myself down.
in these moments?
I love the fact that I can't think of a single answer to that question.
There's your answer.
Yeah.
Great. Congrats. So there's your evidence to the thing that your brain tells you. I'm scared that I'm going to let myself down, but you haven't. And the same thing about me when I get up on stage is like I'm terrified a lot of the time, and I'm scared that I don't have the energy because I've spent everything and I've got to go and do it again. And my body tells me it's fight and flight, and it's to run away, take protection because you're going to die. The evidence is this. Whatever happens when I get on stage, I've never phoned it in. I've always launched myself at it. And even when I've had no energy whatsoever, I've found something somewhere.
I love that. Never change. Never lose that. That's so inspiring. So my next question for you is something that is inspired by something that's brought up in the movie. And I'm curious to hear your answer to this. So in the movie, it is heavily emphasized, like the importance of having it. When you first started out in this business, what did you think having it meant? And now all of these years later, what does having it actually mean to you?
Well, I've seen countless images of me growing up and being in a boy band, and it was never conscious. It was always subconscious, and I didn't realize what I was doing. And I look back at stuff with tremendous embarrassment, as we all do. But also at the same time, I can take out the fact that I am naturally filling a space. I'm filling a space with something. Whatever it is that I was doing may be embarrassing, it may have been corny, it may have been too much, but whatever it was something. And that's it. That is the filling of the space. And, you know, you learn through trial and error to fill that space to the best of your abilities and, you know, hone it if you can. But it's necessity. You know, it is necessity. If I was good at maths, I'd have been a mathematician. It just so happens that I got applauded for showing off. So I better be the best at showing off that I can be.
Here's another question to kind of build on that. I've gotten in the habit of asking it a lot lately. I'm assuming you did not see the movie Mech Scene that came out this summer. So in that movie, one of the characters is a female director who gets the opportunity to direct a movie in the 80s when women often didn't have that space in the industry. And she says to herself, if my movie takes off and if it's a hit, it's going to allow me to have a more meaningful voice in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry. So for you, when you first started out, what did having a meaningful voice mean? And now has that definition evolved for you?
Well, because I joined Take That when I was 16, I auditioned when I was 15, and I'd just been told that these next 2 years inform your life with the GCSEs, the exams that we were having, and I flunked everything. I got a D. That was the highest mark I got, was D. So I left there going and being told by teachers that, your life will mean nothing if you don't succeed in these. So I think this will answer your question. By the time I got given the golden ticket, it was an absolute necessity to actually derive some form of meaning and life and salary from the only thing that I could do. So this was savagery. This was primal. This was primal. This was do this or die. That's how it felt.
And how about now?
How about now? Well, through a series of a lot of things, childhood trauma, processing that, fame too early, mental illness, addiction, rehab, all bad. I didn't derive any joy from all the success that I had, not one bit of joy. In fact, it was just like, this is bringing a nightmare. My life is collapsing. I've collapsed. I need to put myself together. I don't think I can. Should I stay on the planet or not? Now I'm 50 and I am experiencing joy and I'm experiencing happiness. And I'm also experiencing gratitude, a great deal of gratitude, where I didn't have gratitude before. So these are my golden years.
You're making the most of them right now too. And part of the reason I asked that is because I think a lot of people are going to see this movie and it's going to inspire them in a multitude of ways. Things that come to mind are inspiring people to get into music themselves and believe in themselves, to reconnect with family in ways that are important to them. I just have a feeling that your voice in this movie, as well as everywhere else, is going to have an impact.
I think it's important to not believe in yourself and do it anyway. That's like everything that I've achieved because I thought I couldn't. But because I thought I couldn't didn't stop me from going and trying it. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
It's that, I've proved myself wrong countlessly.
Oh, I like that. I feel like it's an interesting motivator to phrase it that way, but I get it. And I've felt it. It makes sense. Yeah. Here's one particular thing I wanted to make sure to ask you, because there is some crossover between music and film and television in this respect. It's about signing with a label and keeping creative control, because on the film side, we're always debating, should the director have creative control? How much studio input should there be? So given everything you've been through, where do you find that pitch perfect balance between having creative control over your work, but also having the right people in your corner to nudge you in the right direction?
Nobody's ever come to me and said no, ever. Look, I had grand expectations for my musical output when I was in Take That and when I left. And I wanted to be this and I wanted to be that and I wanted to be all the people that have inspired me. And what happened was pure pop came out, and it comes out to this day. And I can't help it. This is me. This is what I do. This is my art form. And, but because I am pure pop and because I can't help but be commercial, not because I'm cynical, because it's what's in my heart, nobody's come and said, can you be less commercial? I've done the right things. And I've never had that moment where a record company comes in and tells me that's not the album.
What advice would you give to another aspiring musician or perhaps filmmaker, because this is somewhat adjacent, if they want to get that opportunity further in their career?
It's very difficult. It's almost impossible, and what I am now doing at the age of 50 is I want to get rid of gatekeepers in my life. I want to be the only gatekeeper in my life. I don't want people, and I say it's very difficult. Obviously I've had it, but most people don't. I want to get rid of all the people that could tell me that I don't exist, that could tell me that my opinion is not right. And I'm doing that for myself in many different ways, in many different aspects of business, separate to the music industry, to what I do for, touring music. But look, Michael Gracie, this is his one go at complete control. This film, he won't get it again. So if you, I suppose from my limited understanding of the film industry, you probably won't get what you're after. But that friction is probably what will make you aspire and achieve great things, because you're always going to experience adversity. It's never going to go your way. Life is unkind. Thank God. It's like I am, for Michael Gracie, so wonderful to work with for this movie, because I've just gone, go do your thing. And also it's an independent movie. There are other movies waiting to be made. God bless studios, love them, and I see why they function and why they are needed. But there are so many brilliant movies to be made if studios will just get out the way.
Support after the fact, after the artist has fully realized their own vision.
Absolutely. And, hopefully this film will translate with audiences, and this will testify to that fact that there are a bunch of Michael Gracies out there ready to take a big swing and make the lead an ape.
So he delivers real big in the finished product here. Can you go back to meeting him for the first time and maybe the first thing you saw in him that signaled to you, like, this is a guy I'm going to want to collaborate with creatively one day?
When I first met him, it wasn't, I'm going to collaborate creatively with him one day. It was like, I want to be his mate. He's fascinating. I met him, my wife's best mate growing up and still now, father is Michael Gracie's lawyer, and I went round to their house for a party, and there was Michael Gracie, and I met this Australian, and we hit it off, and then he started to tell me, he actually pitched me the movie that he was going to make, and he didn't end up making it. But in the pitch, I was just like beguiled by his ability to tell a story. It was just like, I want to see this movie right away. So in that moment, when he did come to me eventually and go, hey, kicking the tires on this idea, maybe you want to do this thing, there's no way I was going to say no.
Good instincts right there. So correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I was reading that he did interviews with you for something like 18 months. And then he took all that audio and he went off and wrote the script. What surprised you most about the first draft you read after the fact, given the stories you shared with him?
I suppose I shouldn't have been, but I was so entertained. That was like not a surprise, a relief, I suppose. And my story and a lot of my words from those 12 hours of chatting jumped off the page, and, I was intrigued to see if I make it.
What a wonderful thing that you can actually experience the film version of your own story in a way that's like enthralling
this guy's
to
such
you.
a mess. Jeez. How's he going to get out of this?
Oh, it's really something else. And another thing that is something else is Jono. He's phenomenal in this film. What was the first thing you saw in him that made you think like, yep, he could be me?
Well, once again, this is Michael Gracie's creation, and it's his casting, and it's his choice with everything. So if Michael Gracie thinks that's the man, that's the man. As it happens, he is perfectly the man. Not only that, he's got a really great arse. His arse is better than my arse. And I'm just like, I am happy that is a representation of me up there. He's sexy. And I'm very, very grateful to him for many things, but none more so than making my monkey very sexy.
I mean, I'm not going to deny any of that. What kind of collaboration did you get to do with him beforehand, just to make sure that you are both on the same page? Nothing at all?
Yeah, nothing. He came in, knocked it out of the park. But, I've been in his life a lot. because of his family, and then because of his natural inclination to turn a Robbie Williams song on, or want to aspire to be like me on stage or whatever. So I think he'd been soaking it in for a long time.
Yeah, I had read that, and then also that, he's the kind of actor who really puts in the work to make sure that he's getting all the little nuances and details.
As we say in the UK, he's a grafter, yeah.
I love that. All right, jumping into some of the songs now. So one of the things that I was reading about in a different interview is that you sent some ideas for songs that you had to Michael, and then I think you used the phrase, he knocked them down. Can you give me an example of a song you suggested that he knocked down, and what it was like seeing the song he chose in the finished film and coming to realize that maybe he was taking it down a path that worked a bit better?
Yeah, I obviously every day's a learning day, no more so than being involved in a medium you don't understand. And I didn't have a bird's eye view of what he wanted because I hadn't seen the film. But I was sending these songs over that I'm like, that's a banger, you are wrong. And I'd heard this story about Lose Yourself in 8 Mile and how the director had sent that back and Eminem was right. And I'm like, I'm Eminem in this moment. That one's the song, and you are wrong. And then I saw the finished version, and I was like, I totally get why those songs weren't the ones chosen, and I totally get what you need there. What I was sending wasn't a cuddle. What I was sending wasn't soothing. What I was sending wasn't healing. I think they're good songs, but they're not that. And then I totally got the MO. I knew what needed to happen, and then we delivered, thank God. Me and a wonderful songwriter and producer called Freddie Wexler, incredibly talented. Namaste, love him.
Oh, yeah, I have to get back to Forbidden Road in a minute. But one other question I had about songs from another interview you did. You mentioned that in this film, you wanted people to re-experience your songs in new ways. But I kind of want to turn that towards you. Is there a particular song that you experienced a new way by watching it in the finished film?
Yeah. There's a song called Something Beautiful that's in a scene with me and my then songwriting partner, Guy Chambers. And I've always been like, and now I've revisited and I'm like, I've got this song that I didn't even know that was pretty good. And I'm glad it's having its moment. And also it's something that I can then put in the set list that has never been in the set list. And then there's like drums on Let Me Entertain You, where I'm like, oh yeah, that's really good. We should have that. We should do that live. So, yeah, they've all been repurposed in this magical way, and they will all have this new life, and I'm grateful.
It really is a beautiful. I mean, that's the best thing about adapting. Whether you're adapting a book to screen, someone's true story to screen, like there's this opportunity to evolve and become even more powerful via new creative tools and collaboration. And it's part of the reason why I sit in this seat and keep covering these movies. I love that quality. So I wasn't there for the TIFF screening, but I watched the Q&A, and I was able to kind of like hear the reaction in the audience. I was lucky enough to see it at Fantastic Fest, which was also a wonderful audience, but the energy in that room just felt next level. And I've heard you talk about, I think the phrasing you used was that experience made a dent in you. Can you kind of describe what that dent is and how you've carried it with you ever since? No, it dented
me. Yeah, it dented me, crushed me in the best way possible, because I was sharing this movie in a country where I'm not well known at all, in front of 2,000 people. And I was just having a nice experience with Jono, who plays me, and Michael, the director. And then at the end of the movie, I'm thinking, I'm fine, I'm good, because sometimes I've seen it and sometimes I've cried, and I'm not crying. I'm just enjoying this moment. And then in unison, 2,000 people turned around and they clapped us. But, when they're clapping us, they're clapping my story. And then there was something so powerful in, and now I know what it is. What it is you've been seen and heard, and we love and respect you anyway. Even though you've been this person that's not so great, we've seen your arc, and we've seen the redemption. We see your heart and we see your soul, and we're loving you for it. And Crash.
I think there really is a great respect out there for just making a good movie, but also how like raw and honest you were through this entire production. It makes it a specifically profound experience for somebody else
There's
out there.
good movies to be made out there. You've just got to get out of the way to let the great people that are geniuses fulfill their vision.
Speaking of that, and I think you brought up before not fully knowing what it takes to kind of make a movie like this, what single part of this process surprised you most?
That the film industry makes the music industry look like a monastery. Like the journey to get this film actually to be finished is like is countless amount of times where there's no way this is going to be made. There's no way this is going to be made. Every road that Michael Gracie went down with this movie was a dead end. And somehow from the wreckage, he managed to pick the ball up and move it further down the field. And I don't know how he's done it. And the amounts of cogs, because for me in the music industry, it's like write an album, release an album, put tickets on tour, go sing it to people. It's that simple. That's the mathematics. In film, there is so many ingredients. It's unbelievable. And I'm dumbfounded how anything gets made.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's why I always insist on, whenever we're at a screening and they'll allow it to sit there and watch the full credits, because hundreds, if not thousands of people were heavily responsible for making one movie happen, and every single person is of the utmost importance.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Wild and incredible. And considering if there's 3 people in a room, 2 people disagree. And there's, like you say, sometimes there's 1,000 people in a room. How many disagreements are you going to have to make something happen?
Every single movie made, I think, is a minor miracle. It's really something else.
Incredible.
We have hit the end of Collider Forces. Every single one of these interviews ends with this particular question. So in film and television, especially this time of year, everybody loves giving each other awards. And I do think that is absolutely wonderful. But I find that nobody ever tells themselves, good job. So can you tell me something that you accomplished through Better Man that you know you'll always be able to look back on and say, like, you know what? I'm really proud of what I did there.
I'm alive and I'm thriving. Good job.
I wish I didn't have to do an outro and I could just cut out there. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm alive. I'm thriving. Good job. Well done, Rob. Onwards.
Well done. And thank you for this movie. Again, I've watched it quite a few times and it's invigorating and it's inspiring.
Great.
And I have a
Thank
feeling
you.
a lot of people are going to feel the same way. Thank you for being on Collider Forces.
Thank you.